Welcome back to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today we have a spotlight, the great Mary Katherine of West of Perfection Business Consulting. Mary Katherine is a leadership consultant, coach, speaker, marathoner, and mom of 7. Yes, 7. So if you want to know about multitasking and getting things done on a tight timeline, get it with Mary Katherine. Her expertise spans coaching at Fortune 50 companies to advising the elite of both America, high society, and European aristocracy. On this episode, we're going to deep dive into Mary MK's Revolutionary New Leadership Summit, Elevate the Conversation, happening this October. This event is designed to transform your leadership mindset. It also is going to revolutionize the way we do leadership conferences as a whole. It's not your typical conference. Picture an intimate side table chats with titans of industry, sports, and government. Forget the stage. This is about real human connection with those who have lived through setbacks, recovery, and ultimately success. If you're a leader looking to understand how to navigate the uncertain times ahead, meet us at Elevate the Conversation. All right, with that, let's meet Mary Katherine.
Hello, Drew. How are you?
Hello. This is super fun for me. Mary Katherine put together an event. She was part of the team that put together this event in Owensboro that I've talked about a bunch on the show called Innovate back in May. So we met there, and I was immediately stunned by her combination of easy grace. Like, you just get in her presence and she knows what she's doing, but she doesn't have a chip on her shoulder. She doesn't have an agenda that she's pressing, and yet somehow you find the conversation flowing towards things you're so grateful it flowed on. She was very much one of the sought after people. And I always found her surrounded by folks from the U.S. Senate, by folks in government, and by folks, some of the most talented in business. So Mary, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you. You're kind. And, you just try to show up and be a blessing in somebody's life and just see what happens. So it was a great event. And one of the highlights was meeting you. You're one of my favorite people I met. Came back and told my partners about Drew, and also that we both bleed blue. We're from Kentucky, and people in Kentucky just don't understand how much we just love our state. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. So we love the horses, the beautiful rolling hills of central Kentucky, and just grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. So this show really is to talk about your event. I could talk about Mary Katherine and West of Perfection all the day. But I really want to talk about your new event, Elevate the Conversation. Now, here's what I'm excited about with the event. I think you have, I think I have, I think the audience here has gone to plenty of events. We've read plenty of books. We have been trained. We have our CE credits. We have our masters. We've been inundated with so much information. We're just drowning. And it's not even an issue of that we don't know how to apply it. Like, I've been in leadership. You've been in leadership. We've run teams. We've had big budgets. We've met people. We've networked. The need is no longer information or even application. I think the need, especially in a post-COVID world, is connection. And so what you've done here, and this is what gets me excited, is you have cut through, you took the standard conference that we all think of, and you were like, let's just cut out all of that part and let's stick it with the important parts. So tell me what got you excited about it? Like, when was the inspiration? What got you excited about it? How did you land on this format?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like you said, we've all been to so many conferences, and there's so much value in that, right? We show up and we leave, we go back. It's we're motivated and it's inspiring, and that's great. And there's value for that. But we really like to do things different. At West of Perfection, we're really more interested in you, in your own transformation, in your own life, and you taking agency, right? And so many of these, we call them passive conferences. It's not your typical conference where you're going to sit and listen to speakers all day. Again, there is value in that. But whenever we've been at the top and we have been in positions of leadership, we've done all those things. We've read the books. We have all this knowledge, like you said. It's really where the rubber meets the road, comes from dialogue and from talking with people that have played the game at a higher level, that have been in a different industry, that have a different perspective and a different lens, because we can't see outside of ourselves, right? I mean, it truly is. Awareness is the first prison we free ourselves from. And we all think we're great at things that we really probably aren't. And so when you have that person outside of you, or that's in a completely different industry, I mean, we have a 4-star general. This woman is one of, she's probably the greatest leader I've ever been blessed to know. It's unbelievable. She ran a $300 billion budget. She is
That's billion with a B.
B with a B. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Monopoly to most people, right?
Yeah.
And she has a humility that you can't teach, right? These are things you can't teach. It's the wisdom that only comes with experience, all put together in one room. I mean, we're drawing from academia, from entrepreneurship, from the military, from the sports world, from higher education, being a president of a university, from a leadership consultant who was also a top winning coach. It's really a wild group that we've put together to pull together so many people. And leadership can be so lonely. It's lonely at the top, and the burdens are so heavy, and no one knows what that's like unless you're in that position, because you love your people, you care about your people, and you're responsible not for only yourself, but the decisions you make affect all these people down the line and their families and their futures. And so we take that in, and it's just lonely at the top. So we set out to create something that was different, to be inspiring, but also to form a community around what we can bond together and then help lighten that load as we walk through these dialogues together. So this model kind of came about, to answer your original question, because I was talking with my partners, and we were talking about to be aware of the signs of your time. And what are the signs of our time? What are those? They are, we're living in a time, I think no one would argue that when we were kids growing up, you could believe differently and be friends. But we're in this time in space that you can't do that. There is no dialogue. There is no conversation. There are one-sided opinion monologues. The media has lowest trust ever. And people, even with the rise of social media and people living what I would call passive lives, right, on the screen is not reality. Our younger generation hasn't been taught how to have conversation because they're on their phones all day. Not their fault, but now it is their responsibility. So how do you model that and teach people how to have healthy, engaging dialogue? It's through conversation, and we have to bring that back.
And in addition to that, there's a big push for diversity and inclusion. And I'm not knocking, we need diverse opinions, we need perspectives from different directions. But when you're at the leadership level, not every opinion is useful, right? And again, I'm not slighting an individual in particular. What I'm saying is you have to have gone through the pain of a tough program, maybe something that failed, maybe the market dropped on you, maybe you got stabbed in the back by a peer, maybe there's a bunch of tough moments that happen in leadership. And some people give you I call it throwing a t-shirt at you. I can just throw a t-shirt like, oh, well, you should forgive and forget, right? That being on a t-shirt doesn't help. The question is, how do I make it past this lump in the road, this unexpected shortfall? Maybe you had a funder that, pulled out, or you got laid off unexpectedly because of the downturn in the economy. How do you repair from those moments? What you need is not more people that tell you throw t-shirts at you. You need people that have walked through those moments and have wisdom to give on it. And sometimes wisdom is not do this and then it'll solve itself, but rather this is how you emotionally make it through that transition, or this is how you handle the emotions of your organization as you're going through those transitions, right? You need a wisdom conversation, an understanding conversation, not a knowledge conversation.
Absolutely. It's interesting as you get older and you have more life experiences. I really believe those things that happen to us in life, you don't welcome them because you don't want the hard times, but in a way, you're kind of grateful for them, because we know that's where the molding and the shaping happens. That's where the life lessons happen. And I've really gotten away from saying anything about failure or setbacks, because we either succeed or we learn. And that's really where the good stuff happens, is in the valleys, right? But those people who have had these defining moments, and we're going to talk about that at this event at Elevate the Conversation. We're not just there to talk about, I'm the CEO of this. And if you just think that you've got it all figured out, this is not the place for you, because we are going to talk about real stuff. It's going to get real. We're going to talk about the defining moments in your life that have been hard, but you look back and you say, gosh, rejection was God's protection. This changed the course of my life. And I wouldn't have ever had the courage no one's going to jump into something that they think no one's going to just decide to get laid off, right? Or walk away from, we don't know what we haven't lived, and we don't know what's ahead. No one knows the future. And so we really want to create that space to talk about what you learned and what you've gained through those hard times. Right.
Yeah. I remember my first business failure. I started a daycare with some friends, and then the guy that was running it, he very short, we'll call it embezzled. He didn't really embezzle. He just kind of mismanaged it. But the point is, a lot of money was gone all of a sudden. So we had ultimately had to close down the business. And I was talking to my dad, and kind of, it's weird because you can't really share those sort of failures, because who can understand that,
Yeah.
there's shame that's brought with it, and there's frustration that's brought with it, and there's a lot of anger that's brought with it. And dad said something to me that really helped. He said, "Oh, that's your first one, huh?" Like, as in business, things don't go your way. Sometimes people literally stab you in the back. Other times it's just coincidence. He's like, "Oh, that's your first one. The first one hurts the worst. After that, they get easier."
Yeah.
And it gave me hope. So having that person that has lived your experience, has lived your trough, maybe not exactly, but pretty much, and that can speak to you and say, "Listen, there's life after the stumble, and it's actually just fine, and it becomes part of your story. And this is how you get through it emotionally and financially and as a leader." The first one hurts the worst, and having somebody that can give you that perspective and hope for the future, I think, is exciting.
It is. And, as I call it, like the knockdown in life. And even as a parent, I know you mentioned we have 7 kids, but, I think we do our kids a disservice. We do our employees a disservice whenever we try to remove every speed bump in the road for them, because that's how you figure things out. And I've seen so many CEOs that are wonderful people, but don't want to let their people go, don't want to let them do, because they want to, well, I don't want them to make the same mistakes I made. Well, how did you learn? You learn through that, right? And so hopefully we can learn from other people's mistakes, but we're all human. We're all gonna have those experiences. And when we can get together and talk about that together, it does lighten the load, and it gives us different perspective. You might be the CEO of a bank and come and hear from this woman who ran the military, and you're just thinking outside. You only are in your sphere of influence, in your circle. And when you have somebody that it sheds light in a totally different way, right? Their experiences are different. And I do think that diversity of thought is so important, because we can't create new thoughts with the same circle and sphere of influence that we have. So that's, it's priceless. And it's been something that's changed the course of my life and my career, is getting in circles and getting in with people who've just been such a blessing to learn and grow from. I always say, always look for friends that are 20 years older than you, and then learn and soak up as much as you can.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for me, that's kind of been the pivotal moments in my career. I remember I moved out to Texas, a great leader. He was my boss. He said, "Hey, listen, you're outgrowing this place. It's time for you to move on." And that was a weird conversation, but a deeply impactful conversation to have. So I find myself in Texas at a new company. It's like Monday morning of first day. We've all been on a first day. There's not, like, I don't even have an email yet, right? We're just reading manuals to keep us busy. And this old guy walks up, and he's like, "Hey, anybody want to go for coffee?" And there's 3 new hires, me and 2 other guys. And the 2 other guys were like, "No, we have stuff to do." Like, clearly blowing this old weird guy off, right? And something in my soul said, "No, I need to go hang out with this guy." Turns out his name is Brad. He loves coffee. We had coffee almost twice a day for 4 years.
Twice a day?
Yeah. Well, they had Starbucks. He was like in the building, and we like went down there. Like, when either of us were stumped on a thing, we would just like, "Hey, you want to go for?" We weren't just drinking coffee. We were talking about the problem. We just needed to change the scenery. Anyway,
nothing in the office ever happens at the office. All
no,
things
that's right.
over
The
coffee,
real business,
dinner, or
the real business happens over a table, over coffee.
100%.
Yeah. And
Over
that's
conversation, right?
over conversation, right? Like at your, So if you want, so I spent $4,000 in coffee.
$4,000.
That's a lot of coffee. And I like lattes. It is what it is. It was also like I had a badge, and I could just like bloop, and it came out before.
Like
yeah.
They ring it beyond you. He'd be saying, "Pull out your cash."
And Andrea was like, "You all can't let my wife watch this." Andrea was like, "Why aren't you making as much money as I thought?" So I spent $4,000 in coffee that year, the first year. And everybody made fun of me for how much time I was not working. I was spending time with Brad. But Brad introduced me to every other department. And when I was stuck on stuff that was career ending, he gave me advice. He brought me into the room of the people that could solve my problem. He taught me all sorts of really eclectic stuff about helicopter rotor system design, which is super boring for everybody else, but for me, it was fantastic. It led to 30 patents. I was in charge of the research department, right? So let me ask you, would you spend $4,000 to have doors opened and to have wisdom that nobody else in the organization gets?
100%. We are so, I love it. I
Cheapest
love it.
coffee.
It's the best
Cheapest coffee you
$4,000
could
you could have spent, right? And
buy. Yeah.
it's in America, it's so intriguing to me because we work with people all over the world, and we really do have a different culture. Americans are obsessed with stuff. We love stuff. And we will we'll go pay $50,000 for a vehicle, but we don't want to invest a couple $1,000s in our own growth and development, which is we want everything to be free. And if you want to, go to a $25 conference and have some day old coffee, that's fine. But let me tell you, you get what you pay for.
Day old coffee. I'm going to go to a conference to get day old. I went to 3 conferences this year besides the one that I went with you. So 4 conferences, and it's day old, acid filled, and you're sitting in a chair, and I'm an ADD guy, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the audience. Dan Martell's favorite speaker, author right now. He's up there. My idol is up there. I almost don't fanboy about anybody, but Dan Martell is up. I'm like, oh. And I just read he basically gave me a speech on his book. I already knew the material. So kind of I paid to be in the room with Dan, but that didn't really give me, I was sitting there, I left the conference a little bit deflated. I was like, I spent time, which is really our most valuable asset, right? I spent all this time. I listened to my hero, but he didn't know me. I didn't create a relationship with my hero. But you're doing the opposite. You're asking folks to spend essentially about the same amount of money you would go to a regular conference to truly connect, not with speakers, but with experts that are connecting and that, you can be able to relate with.
And one of the things we really set out to do with this also is so many times a conference is about a keynote speaker. And we don't want this to be about any one person, because we want you to be active in your own life, to not be passive, to not go to that conference, to not go hear that keynote and just listen, right? I actually was up in Lexington at a business summit a few weeks ago, and it was good. It was really good, but we listened to conferences, we listened to speakers all day, and there really was no time to network. I talked to a couple of speakers. They were great, but it was about this keynote, right? And we don't want to do that, because it's our life. We should be the hero in our own life. We shouldn't be obsessed with Dan Martell or whoever. It's fine. We can learn from those people. And so we wanted to pull together really high-level leaders from all over the nation, from all different industries, and bring them in the room to model what elevating the conversation looks like, to talk about the hard things, and then for them to go out and sit in our audience. We're only allowing 100 people in the room. It's going to be very small.
So it's intentionally capped at 100 people.
Intentionally. So when it sells out, it sells out. So get your tickets today. But
you heard it. No, seriously, go get it. How do they go find the tickets? It's westofperfection/events.
Westofperfection.com. So west, the direction, not east, but west of perfection. We say perfection is never the goal. We reach just west of it, which is growth, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So you go to westofperfection.com and just click on the event tab, and you can see the different options there. We have a VIP dinner where we'll just be about 20 people with all the speakers. And then we have just to come and be part of that day, to really be poured into, so that you can go back, refresh, but not only just that was inspiring, but now I have a community and I have real tangible things to take with me that I talked to Andreas Widmer about. You talked about losing a bunch of money. I mean, this guy's going to tell a story about losing 600 million overnight. It's unbelievable. And then saying, this is the greatest gift I ever got. Wow, that's perspective, right?
That's
one
amazing.
of the most brilliant and kindest, most humble businessmen I've ever met. He runs an entrepreneurship school for kids now. He's just an incredible guy. I just love listening. I've taken a couple of his online courses. He's just brilliant. So, they're going to go and sit at your tables and work through your own unique challenges with you. We haven't seen this being done anywhere. And we really are trying to do this differently so that it doesn't last. It's not Motivation Monday. It doesn't last for a month, but this gives you real tangible things to go now for the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, the world is so uncertain, right? We don't know it's great to have your 3 and 5 year plan and to have projections, but let's talk about what we can do right now. And, we don't know if we have tomorrow. None of us do. None of us know what the future holds.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're in the middle of a recession, at least at the moment, right? Inflation was, 25% over the last 2 years at least.
Wild.
And
My grocery bill.
right. And then, the supply chain. I mean, I remember being a part of the supply chain at Lockheed, and then in my current work, everything's more expensive than it used to be. And we know that little changes in your costs go directly to your bottom line, right? So everybody's increased their prices over the last year, which of course that's your supply chain that just got its prices increased. So I know a lot of companies that I work with are looking at tightening their belts. They're talking about more layoffs. That generally affects leaders as well, right? It's an uncertain future as we go into 2025. Of course, we also have the political season, but we'll avoid that. Yeah, 2025 is going to be different than 2024, 2023. This is an opportunity for you to unplug and get some great advice from people that don't have an incentive. You can talk to your board members, you can talk to your business coach, but the folks that are going to be at this table, they don't have an incentive to keep you paying, so to speak. They just have an incentive to add it, to pour into your life. Yeah.
No, it's something really unique. We did a speakers call a couple of weeks ago. I'm so excited about this group. It's mind blowing. But I believe what's going to come from the discussion is humble leadership, which is, really when working with CEOs, I think humility is the greatest virtue that's missing. And it's the number one virtue of a leader. Because you can't, if you think you know everything, you're not open to working with other people, or you think you are. It's interesting because so many of the leaders who are like, you think you're humble, but we all struggle with that, right? But humble leadership, these people are just, they realize they couldn't make it to the top alone. It takes a team. We're better together. And a lot of people say those things, but these people actually embody it and have lived it. And you can see it over, 4 and 5 decades of experience. So I believe humble leadership, serving, building a culture, teamwork. It's a really unique group that just really fell together. It's really been. Yes.
And what I like about it is these are all experienced folks that are from very diverse industries. So you can have lots of different perspectives. And I'm going to kind of tell the boring version of it. I know that you have a different version of it. Your network is your net worth. I think that's Napoleon Hill. It might be Cialdini's.
I think it's Napoleon Hill.
Okay. But, he says your network is your net worth. And that's what has driven all the BNIs and all the networking conversations. But they're all a little bit cheap, right? They're all a little bit transactional. And we're all seeking that connection. That's not, hey, I'll do this if you quid pro quo. You have a different kind of spin on that. Can you share that?
Yeah. I mean, it's really, investing in your network and learning from that. You are paying for the years of experience, right? I always like to think about it with, in my family, I have 7 dentists, right? And people will say, well, dentists make way too much money. I'm like, they spent 11 years in school and couldn't start saving. And then they're paying off debt. They can't even start saving until they're 40. So we don't think about things. In America, we don't think long-term. We just think transactional. We think we pay $5 and get a coffee. Well, actually it's probably like 7 or 8 now, but we don't understand basic economics anymore, and investing and what you invest in, we don't understand. So yeah, you can invest in the market, and you should. Maybe I'm not here, I'm not a stockbroker, but investing in yourself, if you believe in yourself, I believe is the greatest thing you can do, because I believe in me more than I believe in the market. And I believe in the gifts God gave me to go out and pour out and serve the world. And so it's really paid off in my own life. And now I always say, what you look for and you can't find, you're called to create. And to find that community of high-level leaders that want to be a servant leader, that are there not just for themselves to self-promote or brag on themselves, but pull together all these minds in one room and pour into each other for the day, and now build out this community that, hey, I've got their phone number and they really spoke about this, and I want to call them 4 months down the road whenever I have a unique challenge and I'm trying to work through it on my own, sitting alone, dreaming about this at night, can't even focus when my kids are talking to me because all I have going on is that I've got to lay off 20 people, whatever it is. And I call and I say, how did you get through this? Can you help me? And they're the type of people that want to pour back in. And that's who we're looking for, the person that actually wants to get out of themselves, to be a humble servant leader, and to know we all need each other to do this.
Yeah, no, I love it, because what you're doing is you're investing in your network, right? You're investing not just in like the people you know, but the people that you can call when you have a question, which is very, very different, right?
Don't call me at 10. Call me at 8 o'clock. You can call me at 8.
Well, you got 7 kids. You got to go to bed. No, but yeah, who can you call? Who in your network can you call to solve a problem, right? Um,
And
this is
that's
one of those.
invaluable.
Yeah.
Priceless, right? I mean, what keeps you up at night? The fact that you don't have the latest and greatest new jewelry or clothes, or how you're affecting people and how they affect you, right? If we can have peace in a load that doesn't feel like 100 pounds, but we all have stuff. We all have stress. That's a part of life. But if your load is 10 pounds and not 100, that is priceless. We know stress kills, right? It's the silent killer. And if you
Oh
can
yeah.
find that to help lighten that load, and that's what a community of people do for you. They've
Yeah.
walked the walk, they've been there, they've done it, and they can offer carrying the load with you.
Yeah. And so I'm going to pull that thread a little bit because there's the
Yeah.
network outside of you, right? But then
Mhm.
there's also the network that you're building. If you're at the top of an organization, you have VPs under you, you have directors under you.
Mhm.
Likely is not, half of them are going to be leaving in the next year and a half, and they're going to be pursuing other opportunities. Those folks are going to be part of your network, the people that you poured into, the people that you built up, or they're going to be the people that are so excited they left. I have a friend that says everybody in this world will bring you joy. Some will bring you joy when they show up, and others will bring you joy when they leave.
That's pretty good. There's
So,
truth to that, right?
yeah. So, I know that there's only 100 people at this table or at this event.
Yeah,
My
small.
challenge to the audience here, and I'd like to love your thoughts on this. My challenge is come yourself and bring somebody with you. Brad brought me with him to coffee, and it changed my life, and it gave him somebody he could trust as we built the organization. There are a couple of people in your organization that you could invest in, and I'm not talking $50,000 of an MBA. I'm talking about $1,000, right? Can you buy
Yeah,
a table? Can you be the leader in your organization or in your community that calls people to this connection? Or are you just going to come yourself, right?
yeah. And it's so important. I mean, we all have those people in our lives that have been a blessing, and you never forget them. And it's something. It's I always say it's the gift that keeps on giving because you're believing in those people. So yeah, who are we looking for? We're looking for those humble servant leaders, the people that are at the C-suite or director level VPs. But also, if there's somebody on your team that is an emerging leader that you see as this type of person that can grow, it's a great opportunity to invest in them and bring them into a room that they wouldn't likely get into, right? Creating this space. It's exciting. And we're bringing it to Kentucky. Whenever I worked for a Fortune 50, we always went to Dallas or Orlando, and that was great. But we don't have anything in our area. We get a lot of sports stuff, which is great. I love sports. Grew up with five brothers, love it. Um, and then we have a lot of entertainment, concerts and all that type of stuff, but a lot of really high level business acumen. I've not seen a business summit, and Central Kentucky is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Not biased at all, but
Nah.
the rolling hills and the horses that you see in the pictures,
Oh,
it's real.
it's
And
gorgeous. Yeah.
it's a totally different experience. And we want you to come. We want you to go experience the horse races. And we're building this event out to be an annual thing. So to pull together the best in the business, all different businesses, right, on leadership. So it's very exciting, and it's really fun for us to bring it to Kentucky. Me and you.
No, I
The
I
only
tell all of
partner in
my
my team from Kentucky. They're like, I've never seen someone so obsessed with their state.
that I tell all of my clients, strategic planning is critical. And part of
Absolutely.
strategic planning, the enabler to do strategic planning is you got to unplug. You got to do an offsite, come away, go somewhere that's quieter. If you're from New York, if you're from LA, if you're from Dallas, I mean, I love those places. I've been there, right? They have a charm, they have the bustle, the energy.
Yeah.
Come to Kentucky. There's just something in the water here. It's just relaxed. Come
Yeah.
relax, unplug, let yourself expose your fears, your frustrations, learn from folks that have been there, done that. Bring your mentee or your
Yeah.
mentor,
Mentor.
and make
And
this.
you know what I would encourage you? Bring your mentor, because so many people at the top, what I hear, I'd love to, but I don't have time. I'd love to, but I don't have time. Well, you know what we don't have
Mm,
time for? We don't have time for a nervous breakdown. And we don't have time for you to be so in your head that you're not focused. And it is research all over the place that the human person needs downtime. And the one thing our culture doesn't ever have is downtime. We are so distracted. One of the things we do in some of our coaching is a silence challenge. We have not had one client successfully complete it. Now we tried to build them over time, but isn't that crazy? We don't know how to get quiet. We don't know how to pour. It's just go, 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 distraction, distraction, ding and ping and dong. And it's wild, right? And it's not good.
Yeah. So unplug, come to the event. I'm going to wrap up the show here but the best way I think to get connected here, obviously you should buy a ticket. Obviously you should come with your mentor or your mentee, bring your team, buy a table, right? Make it a thing. And then everybody that you bring, send them to another table, like make it a real networking event.
Well, and you think about like, we go and we'll drop $5,000 on an event to go do something fun together, a silent disco or for team building, a ropes course. And that's all fun and good. But
or
what
a social media campaign?
What about something with depth and that you're going to walk away and it doesn't end right now? It's not like throwing a kite to the wind and seeing where it flies. There's a purposeful and intentional plan here. And it's something really unique. We're really, really excited about it. We think we have something really special up our sleeves for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's why I had you on the show. I'm sad. I'm frustrated we have to wrap up here. But one more real quick call out to everyone. I know that you all just had a gold sponsor back out.
Yes.
It's just a bad timing for them. So we got one slot. Reach out to Mary Katherine and grab that gold sponsorship, and not only come to the event, but be keynoted or spotlighted at the event as one of the people that helped put it on. So that's my challenge to you. You're a CEO, you're a bank. Show that you're a leader by helping facilitate this sort of connection. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn. It's Mary Katherine Wathen. We have a website, www.westofperfection.com. And would love to hear from you. Would love to see you there, but only if you're a really great leader. We don't want any of these or interested in growing as a leader. So, it's a great challenge to try to always continue to level up. And as we ascend up the mountain, we see things very differently. So just grateful to be here, Drew, and can't wait to continue to collaborate with you because you are that abundant leader, and just really, really excited about collaborating with you and this event. So come be with us, get in the room and grow your own leadership skills, and moreover, grow your own network.
Yeah, no, it is an easy yes to connect with you.
Yeah.
So that's Mary Katherine Wathen with West of Perfection and their new revolutionary Elevate the Conversation leadership event coming here in October. With that, we are